Everybody's talking about the potential of Shohei Ohtani wearing that beautiful Cubs uniform. But what about some other guys from Japan that could join the Cubs? Right now, there's a hot market from some very good players from the Far East. We're going to talk about that possibility. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. If you're not part of what we're doing, guys, like and subscribe. If you love the Cubs, give us a thumbs up and hit the bell. Let's get this thing going. What do you say, everybody? With Chad Anderson jumping on today. I'm Mick Gillispie. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball Channel. Don't forget that we're available on Twitter at this Chad is real, and I am just at Broadcaster Mick. So are you real, Chad?
Try to keep it that way here and there.
Keeping it real
times than not. Try to.
What happens when keeping it real goes wrong?
You get fake news.
Did you ever see that skit on the Chappelle Show? Keeping it real goes wrong. Bad things happen to people on there, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the guy who is sought after by everyone. And they're starting to give reports now that the Cubs are in this, and they're still in this. And maybe Shohei Ohtani goes ahead and makes a decision, winter meetings next week, and we'll be in Nashville. I'm getting there Tuesday, and maybe not, but he's close.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, Chad, that it's Dodgers and Cubs 1 and 2, that the Giants are still in the mix. Maybe the Blue Jays say they're in the mix. I can't imagine a scenario where he goes to the Blue Jays. And then the Angels, he's already been through that disaster. I can't imagine that being something that he wants to go through again. But it's his former team or his current team, however you want to look at it. Those are the 5 teams that I'm mentioning, and those are the 5 teams that I'm hearing, but with the Cubs and the Dodgers as the most likely. And that he's going to make between $500 and $600 million.
Yeah. I mean, you asked me the other day too, like, what's the expected return, or what do you have to make on the guy to make it worth it? And I don't know that that's even measurable, you know, like when you get into the Japan markets, what does that look like? I mean, is your expectation 1 million marquee followers or subscribers? And then
would have to be.
But I'm like more rhetorically just throwing things out. Like, what are you expecting? I mean, you're expecting more marquee subscribers, you're expecting jersey sales, you're expecting, all this crazy merch that'll take place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but I don't know how you measure that, because that's also something that is so difficult, I would think, and I don't know. It's going to be the largest contract in North American history, and it's not even close. So it's just an unprecedented situation, and the Cubs have a chance to be a part of that. And you name all those teams, really, to me, in my mind, it's a Dodgers-Cubs race.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The Blue Jays, he's not going to Canada. That's just not happening. The Angels, I'm kind of with you. The only thing that changed about the Angels is Ron Washington. So unless he and Ron Washington clicked, unless there was some crazy chemistry there, the Angels have kind of been that franchise that underachieves. And then they fire Brad Ausmus to go get Joe Madden, and then that doesn't work out, and they kick Madden out because he doesn't get along with the GM. And then there's talks of the team being sold, and then what if wasn't Mike Trout kind of kicked around as being traded? So yeah, there's just so much uncertainty. I just can't imagine him going back to that, what feels like, troubled relationship. It's just abusive. So to me, it's Dodgers, Cubs. My gut says Cubs are on the outside looking in, but we also didn't think Craig Counsell would be the manager.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't give up on Jed ever, and winter meetings are going to be nuts.
Another name that we're hearing a lot about, Yamamoto, right? Yamamoto. He is a 25-year-old stud pitcher. I think he's 3-time MVP in Japan. He's going to cost a lot of money, but the Cubs are in the mix for him as well. And, maybe I can't imagine a scenario where you add Shohei Ohtani and then Yamamoto. But with that said, maybe once you don't get the first guy, you go get the second guy. I mean, which would kind of be a good, second place prize to add an ace to your rotation.
Well, and I think that's the tough part, right? Is the Cubs are sitting here like, all right, you can't put all your eggs in one basket and then be late to the party on the backup guy. So you've got to figure out this balance. And we've talked about this too, about do you trade prospects first? Do you sign free agents first? Are you trying to do both at the same time? What are you trying to do? Because Juan Soto and the Yankees, has been a deal that feels like will get done eventually over time, but the Yankees seem to be the only ones that are 100% active right now on Soto, and everybody else is looking at free agency stuff. But with Yamamoto, though, the flip side of that, Mick, is what if you just try to corner the Far East market?
Right.
I mean, what if you just say like, hey, you know what? 600 million here, 250 million there. Like, what does it really matter? Just go ahead and sign us up for anywhere from 800 to $1 billion of contracts. But we're going to corner the Japanese market and the Asian market because we also have Seiya Suzuki already on the team. So now we got 3 guys. Plus, is it Iganama and then Matsui? You got other players that are still out there lingering also. Like, somebody made the joke on Twitter, like Cubs are just going to become the Japanese American team. But at the same time, financially, it could work out because their love for baseball and all the revenue it will bring.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's where I was going next. Imanaga, right? Maybe he's a 30-year-old. So he's not 25, just starting the prime, but he's another one of these ace pitchers. We saw him in the World Baseball Classic. He was great. And we saw a lot of these guys in the World Baseball Classic, and they can play, man. I mean, it's not like it once was where we had this misconception that their league was like a 4A league. Their league has gotten better and better and better over there.
Nice.
And these guys have come over and really have been difference makers. So it's a spot to go out and find some really good pitching. The Cubs need that. They need front end rotation guys. If you don't get Yamamoto, then Imanaga could be a guy.
Yeah, he could be. Cubs still they got to figure out overall. I mean, where the dominoes going to start falling, and I'm so curious. Hindsight will always be the 2020 piece on this, but I'm just so curious as to, I wish I could sit in on a fly on the wall and where do some of these pieces come into play? Because like you said, he's 30 years old. So you start getting into some of these bid wars or having to spend money. And one thing I hope that they don't do that I think Theo did is when something didn't work out for the Cubs in the past. And again, God bless Theo. Thank you for the World Series. But after the World Series was won, it felt like there were bad signings or bad trades because they would chase. It's like, I didn't get my guy, but I can't look like I failed. So I need to go chase and get this person or trade for these people and do this and do that. And it just, to me, that's what it felt like the Cubs tried to do, is they tried to press. So yeah, again, 30-year-old guy coming over, but at the same time, if you can get him, fine. But I just hope, and I think Jed does and will, just make sure that we're not in a situation where we're overspending or overreacting to missing out on somebody else.
Right. And I've talked about it on some videos here last week. Cubs could be in the mix. Well, they are in the mix, and they could make a trade for Tyler Glasnow. What are you willing to give up for him? Same thing with Bieber from Cleveland. There's just different guys that keep popping up. Blake Snell's a free agent. Do you pay him, or would you feel more comfortable giving that same money to a guy from Japan that doesn't have the health issue, the injury history that obviously Glasnow and Bieber both have, and a lot of pitchers, even Blake Snell's dealt with injuries. Jordan Montgomery, I did a video on that this week, and the way that he pitched in the postseason for the Rangers, they don't win it without him. So maybe he's someone you go after. But winter meetings are a time where you're going to figure a lot of this out. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is Pete Crow Armstrong, because it really feels like the Cubs are at that point where he's going to be the center fielder of the future.
As much as I love David Ross as a person, I'm so annoyed with him, even post Ross era, because I can't figure out Pete Crow Armstrong. And I blame Rossi for part of this because of how he was treated in his short month in the major leagues. He's an unbelievable player, unbelievable center fielder. But Mick, do you not look at it and go, well, is he going to hit like we hope he's going to hit at the big league level? You can play defense. He proved that already.
Right. Yeah.
But from the bat standpoint, and I'm just sitting here going like, man, and I think he can, but there's like the devil on the other side of the shoulder that's telling me trade the guy right now while his value is still crazy high to go get a Soto or go get, a piece like that and inject them into the roster. And I'm not saying I don't know which move would be right, but I'm just more conflicted of because of that 1 month and because of how he was treated and because those are the experts and I'm just sitting here babbling with you, then, which one is it? And it just makes me nervous is all. And I just wonder, like, those are the tough decisions. Thank God I don't have to make that Jed and the company have to do. But I don't know, to be honest. Defensively, 100% yes. But as badly as he played and as badly as he was treated offensively, I just wonder, what do you do with him?
I think he's going to be just fine. And I mean, Craig Counsell knows to have.
I do like Counsell there.
Yeah. But to have sustained success, guys got to be able to come up through your system. You can't go out. Free agents can be just as helpful as hurtful to a team, to a roster, to a team's budget. So you want to get the right guys and bring them in, and you want to match them with your organization. And I got to tell you, Jed Hoyer and his guys have done a great job of kind of building up a lot of momentum and winning all the way to the big leagues with these young guys. If they're going to follow that and they're going to bring it to the big leagues, you got to have that there infused with the Nikos and the Dansby Swansons, So to me, if I was the Cubs, where I would go figure out what I'm doing at first base. I'd go minor leagues with, not minor leagues, but obviously like prospects with center field and third base. And I'd invest, if I could nail a catcher of the future, I would go after that big time, along with starting pitching and some guys in the bullpen. So we'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out what's going to happen. But they don't have the pitching depth, so they have to go out and buy that, or they're not going to be successful. There's just isn't a bunch of starters that are coming from this organization. One thing that I can tell you, though, Chad, is that there's a starter at Modern Lending.
There is a starter and an average closer too. If you want to chat, we're going to do a special for the month of December for the Chicago Cubs, and in honor of the 2016 World Series, we're going to do a $1,600 lender credit for anyone who wants to talk about purchasing or refinancing, whether it's trying to lower the payment or if you want to take cash out. Credit card debt in this country is at an all-time high. So even if you have a good rate right now, it still may behoove you to go ahead and jump in and refinance and take some equity to pay off those awful credit card rates. Either way, if you just want to pick my brain, talk, if you want an excuse to talk about the Cubs and you say it's for mortgage, that's fine too, to be honest. Website's on the screen.
Take it all.
ChadAnderson.info. Cell phone there as well. Feel free to call or text anytime. All
right. And one other thing too, guys, this show's brought to you by the Tennessee Smokies and the Smokies team store online, smokiesbaseball.com/store. They won their first championship in 45 years. They've got Cubs, they've got Smokies, they've got all kind of really cool baseball gear and memorabilia and game used bats and gloves and baseballs, just depending on what time of year it is, even old jerseys that the guys wore last year. But you can get it all at the Smokies team store. So for Chad Anderson, I'm Mick Gillispie. We'll talk to you guys again soon. Go Cubs.